Well, warmest greetings to you, one and all. Hello to you, and welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel, coming to you from the heartland of America, straight to your hearts. At least that's our hope. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, the happy contrarian, here to help you guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. We shift our focus today to politics. People say, Jeff, why are you talking about politics? You're supposed to be about unindoctrinating yourself. Well, I am. And while I do hope that you unindoctrinate yourself religiously, unindoctrinate yourself spiritually, I hope you unindoctrinate yourself culturally and unindoctrinate yourself politically as well. I did have some days in partisan politics, and by way of full disclosure, I worked in both of Patrick J. Buchanan's campaigns for the presidency. I was indeed one of Buchanan's brigaders. And today I want to look at an article by Pat Buchanan, and the article is entitled, as you can see, it comes from WND Daily, World News Daily, I think that is. And it says the neocons, and we're going to define that term for you. War with Iran would become, ladies and gentlemen, Trump's war. Pat Buchanan identifies the usual suspects for pushing for military action against Tehran, which is, of course, the capital of Iran. Now, it's important for us to understand the words and the terms we're talking about. What is a neocon, ladies and gentlemen? This word right here. Well, a neocon is not a cat in glasses. A neocon, according to Merriam-Webster, is a conservative who advocates the assertive promotion of democracy and U.S. national interests in international affairs, including through military means, and one might say especially through military means. Why are they called neoconservatives? Because classic conservatism says stay out of entangling wars. George Washington's farewell address to the nation said, avoid entangling alliances. So true conservatism asserts national sovereignty and asserts what its critics call isolationism, but what more level-headed people call minding your own damn business, at least in the opinion of this commentator. So neoconservatives want to promote democracy because, of course, we're right and everybody else is wrong. We want to promote U.S. national interests in international affairs because we're right and they're wrong, and they love to do it through military means. So Pat Buchanan is speaking about this situation with Iran, and I agree with Pat. He says President Donald Trump cannot want war with Iran. If we got dragged into war with Iran, which is where a third of the world's oil travels, it would trigger a recession, and any recession in an election year can be very, very debilitating, and even, if I dare use the word, torpedoing to a sitting president's chances for re-election. Donald Trump does not want war with Iran. I'm telling you, Trump does not want anything to become Trump's war, and this certainly would become Trump's war. Think about it. Trump pulled us out of the Iran nuclear deal, which was, in Trump's opinion, a bad deal. I've never seen the deal, of course, but I would tend to agree with Trump and the many commentators that say it was a very, very bad deal. Trump has imposed sanctions on the Iranian people, and Trump has been squeezing Iran's economy, and the neocons want him to continue to squeeze and want him to launch military attacks on the nation of Iran. Now, Sunday, Mike Pompeo said that Iran was behind the attacks on those tankers in the Gulf of Oman that you see burning behind me, and that Tehran had instigated an attack that injured U.S. people and they should be made to pay the price. The unprovoked attack, says Senator Tom Cotton, warrants retaliatory military strikes. But, ladies and gentlemen, not only does Donald Trump not want war with Iran, and I'll get to why, Iran doesn't want war with the United States either. The Iranians denied any role in the tanker attacks. Yet, if the president doesn't want war and the Ayatollah doesn't want war, Buchanan asks who does. Well, Buchanan says the Germans don't want it and the Japanese don't want it, both of whom were asking for more proof that Iran instigated the tanker attacks. And here's something interesting. This is what makes me think that that tanker attack may not have been kosher, because listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting use of terminology there. One of the two tankers that was hit, ladies and gentlemen, was a Japanese vessel. Guess who was meeting with the Ayatollah of Iran when the Japanese vessel was hit? I'll wait. You're right. It was Japan's prime minister. Wow. Trump doesn't want war. I've told you, Trump wants to be the president that made a great, huge, wonderful deal with Iran, and he will be. The Japanese don't want war with Iran. The Germans don't want war with Iran. Who does? Who does? Well, in the Wall Street Journal Monday, a gentleman named Ray Takei and Ruel Mark Gerecht, senior fellows for the Foundation of the Defense of Democracies, a neocon, what Buchanan calls a nest, funded by Paul Singer and Sheldon Adelson. The piece was called "America Can Face Down a Fragile Demand or a Fragile Iran," makes the case that Trump should attack Iran and it would be a cakewalk. Again, the neocons want Iran to be attacked. They say Iran's, and I'm quoting, Iran's fragile theocracy cannot absorb a massive external shock. That's why Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has, for the most part, adhered to the nuclear pact. And while he's likely angling for a negotiation over confrontation with the great Satan, the neocons are saying Iran's this close to falling. They're in big trouble. Let's attack them. Which causes Patrick J. Buchanan and Jeffrey A. Daugherty to ask this question. If the Iran regime is so fragile, and if, as the neocons state, the Iranian people are alienated, why not avoid war and wait for the regime's collapse? I think it's a great question. Patrick Buchanan says that Trump has several options. One, negotiate with Tehran for some tolerable détente. And I've got to say, ladies and gentlemen, knowing some people in Iran, having some contact with people that have people in Iran, the people are suffering greatly. The common people on the street are suffering greatly from the sanctions. Unrest, civil unrest is growing in Iran. Things are very, very bad, very, very shaky, very, very fragile in Iran. Trump calls himself the great deal maker, the author and the master of the art of the deal. Ladies and gentlemen, I can make a deal with Iran, and I'm not the master of the art of the deal. Donald Trump is in perfect prime position, President Trump, to make a deal with Iran. And you heard it here first. He's going to. The second option, in Patrick Buchanan's view, is to sit back and wait for Iran to collapse. But in that case, there's going to be Iranian actions that raise the cost of choking the nation to death. And there is the human cost that must be figured in. Of course, third, strike militarily, accept the war that follows. You can't help but think of Saddam Hussein and him accepting war with the U.S. in 1991 rather than get out of Kuwait. Who really wants a war with Iran? Not the president of the United States, not the Ayatollah of Iran, not the Germans, not the Japanese. Who really wants a war? The same folks that goaded us into wars with Iraq, says Buchanan, Syria, Libya, and Yemen, and those same ones who oppose every effort of Donald Trump to extricate us from those wars. And if the neocons are successful, it's hard to see how the United States and Donald Trump will ever be able to extricate ourselves from this blood-soaked region, says Pat Buchanan, that holds no vital strategic interest save oil in America, has become independent of that. Now, I have made the statement before, and the name Sheldon Adelson comes up. Donald Trump is on the hook for $1 billion to an Adelson-led consortium. So Donald Trump is walking a tightrope. And when Donald Trump makes a deal, it will be a great deal because, ladies and gentlemen, it will be a deal that satisfies Adelson's crowd, satisfies the Iranians, and satisfies the general populace of the United States of America and helps lead him to re-election in 2020. We're about to find out just how good Donald Trump is. We're about to find out just how bought and paid for Donald Trump is. We're about to find out how long Donald Trump's leash is. And those of you that say he's a puppet with no leash, he's simply there to do the will of the Third Templars, the money funders, I suggest to you, if that were true, U.S. weaponry would already be raining upon the Iranian nation. Every day that goes by shows how much independence Donald Trump has. Every day that goes by shows how much leash Donald Trump has. Every day that goes by shows how big Donald Trump's heart is. You thought I was going to refer to another part of his anatomy, didn't you? The days go by, and every day that goes by without bombs is another confirmation that we're going to have a peaceful, negotiated, great, big, perfect deal with Iran from President Donald Trump. Patrick J. Buchanan says it'll be Trump's war or Trump's deal. Jeffrey A. Daugherty says it's going to be Trump's deal. I hate to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and wade into the chat room. Let's see what it says. Trump is a puppet. He does what he's told, says RW Lock 24. RW Lock, can I ask you a question? If you say he's a puppet, then the people that I think you mean he's a puppet of want war with Iran. And if he is such a puppet, why are we not at war with Iran? They've been calling for him to bomb Iran. Bomb Iran for weeks and months. Why hasn't he? Is he a puppet with really long strings, or is he a very different thing? I ask you, RW Lock 24, to think it over. He's doing what he did with North Korea, biding his time. And we will also see a great, huge deal with North Korea as well. And again, RW Lock, he serves, we don't talk about those people. We don't mention those names. And if it's true, RW Lock, then why isn't he doing something already? I ask you, why does he wait if he's a puppet? Somebody says there's ancient artifacts to destroy in Iran. Tell me what those are. I would like to know. There's no dollars or blood in peace. Yes, Tracy, but there is legacy in peace. And if Donald Trump wants one thing, he wants to leave a legacy. He wants to be remembered as the greatest president in the history of the United States. Would bombing Iran or having a great, huge deal with Iran further those aspirations? And you can say Trump is controlled, and I do. I think we all know at the end of the day, President Donald Trump is controlled and driven by what we could call ego, but the way it plays out as president of the United States is wanting to do the unimaginable and the heretofore impossible. I wish the brother well. If he can do it and become the great art of the deal president, all the better for all the people of the world, at least I believe. Dwayne Kirwan says that President Trump is letting the deep state players show their hands and their mouthpieces show their true colors, like Bolton and Pompeo, because anybody who listened to Wesley Clark knows about the 7 countries plan. Very well stated, Dwayne Kirwan. But this is, and what did Tracy say? Tracy said that this isn't Trump's plan. I agree with that. These same countries were on the hit list because they were the last not to have central banks. That's an interesting thought. And Scott says we would be at war with North Korea if President Trump wanted it. Yes, we would. And we would be at war with Iran if President Trump was the puppet that some people make him out to be. TT says this is good news. I agree. Cruel Kilgore lived in Tehran in 1979. And Dwayne again weighs in. There is no sweeter way to accomplish a fait accompli and use the money of the people you want to bring down who thought they could buy you and reverse the curse and destroy them. Ooh, is Donald Trump working a plan against the people that own him? That's very, very interesting. Natalie Fronapple says, same with Iceland. They don't have a central bank either. I don't think we're going to war with Iceland, thankfully. Make no mistake, we're watching a true Game of Thrones in real life. Don't know, never saw it. Tracy Dyer says Trump doesn't want war. It's those supported by the war complex like Little Marco. Absolutely. And if you don't know who Little Marco is, you haven't been paying attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's what's the line that JFK crossed? And is Trump working that same line? Well, Trump has the advantage of history. And Trump can look back at what JFK did and can learn, I won't say from JFK's mistakes, but from JFK's perhaps miscalculations. And I think there's some eerie similarities between the situation that JFK was in and the one that DJT is in. Very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. You and I disagree, says Tracy, with whose plan it is. Oh, I don't think we disagree as much as you think we disagree. My ex-mother-in-law, says Natalie, lived in Iran and wrote a book about it. She was an English teacher in Iran when the hostages were taken. Good book. It's called Behind the Veil. Behind the Veil. Look that up and purchase that book, ladies and gentlemen. An insider's report of Iran during the hostage-taking days back in the early days of the Carter administration. IB Don C is new here. Welcome. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. This is a plan against those people because they failed with the same techniques in Syria and false flag attacks led by white hats / CIA trained and installed by missionaries. Interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're wading in where angels fear to tread and those with less tenacity. But if we're going to unindoctrinate ourselves, then unindoctrinating ourselves politically is part and parcel of the territory. Why would they attack a Japanese tanker while the Japanese prime minister is meeting with the Ayatollah? Iran didn't do the tanker deal. I'm saying Donald Trump knows it. Donald Trump's not falling for it. And I'll say it one more time. President Trump is going to make an amazing deal with the Iranian government. And hopefully it'll be in time for the Iranian people. Because remember this, ladies and gentlemen, even if you hate Iran, even if you hate the Iranian regime, you have to remember that we are not at odds with the Iranian people. We're at odds, if we are, with the Iranian government, the Iranian regime. American people, Iranian people, we both have the same dreams, the same wants, the same desires. We both want to live in peace and raise our kids and worship according to our own dictates and build a life that's better and leave a world that is better than the one that we're in. Always remember that. Divide and conquer is the oldest and unfortunately one of the most effective tools that they use to set us one against the other. Remember, at the end of the day, folks, people are people. And what if they start giving wars and nobody came? Tracy says the deal has likely already been made. She might be right. Kroll Kilgore, who did live in Iran, says the Iranian people are a beautiful people. Kroll is full-blooded American, but the government of Iran is not so cool. I've known several Iranians, and they were all very good people, but that doesn't mean they all are. It just means the ones that I know are. But here, folks, we're not going to beat the war drums. We're not going to fret. We're not going to worry. We're not going to say, OMG, get ready for war. We're going to say, and we're going to believe, and maybe we're going to manifest, or maybe we're just telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen. There will be no war with Iran. President Trump and the Ayatollah will work out a deal that prevents war. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. This is part of our continuing efforts to unindoctrinate ourselves. We're the last generation of real humans. And we know that history is written by the winners. So I say, let's get busy winning. And together, we can write a better tomorrow.